Hello, my name is Mackie, and welcome back to another edition of 60 Super Bowls in 60 Days. We are in Land Shark Stadium in Miami, Florida. I know this stadium has so many names you can just wrap your brain around. It is Super Bowl 44, February 7, 2010. We got the New Orleans Saints making their very first Super Bowl appearance versus the Indianapolis Colts, who won the Super Bowl in a downpour of a Super Bowl against the Chicago Bears. So they're trying to win their second for Peyton Manning. And unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're a Saints fan, of course, that didn't happen. Saints 31, Indianapolis Colts 17. And I'm going to tell you the reason why this is important in a second, because this right here is kind of a little bit personal for me, of course, but also personal to them. So, we're going to get to the stats. Drew Brees was the MVP of the Super Bowl, 32 of 39 for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. Peyton Manning, 31 of 45, 333 yards and a touchdown interception. For the rushes, Pierre Thomas for New Orleans, 9 carries for 30 yards and 3.33 a pop. Reggie Bush, 5 carries for 25 yards and 5 a pop. Joseph Ade, 13 carries for 77 yards and 5.92 a pop and a touchdown. Donald Brown, 4 carries for 18 yards and 4.5 a pop. And for the receivers, Marquez Colston, 7 catches for 83 yards and 11.86 a pop. Pierre Thomas, 6 catches for 55 yards and 9.17 a pop. And a touchdown. Reggie Bush, also a good pass catcher, 4 catches for 38 yards and 9.5 a pop. Jeremy Shockey, 3 catches for 13 yards and 4.3 for pop. For the Indianapolis Colts receivers, Joseph Ade, 7 catches for 58 yards and 8.29 a pop. Dallas Clark, 7 catches for 86 yards and 12.29 a pop. Pierre Garçon, 5 catches for 66 yards and 13.2 a pop and a touchdown. Austin Coley, 6 catches for 66 yards and 11 a pop. And Reggie Wayne, 5 catches for 46 yards and 9.2 a pop. And then we go to the defense. Tracy Porter. And yes, this is the same Tracy Porter who intercepted Brett Favre in the NFC Championship game just a couple of weeks before the Super Bowl. Well, he did it again with a 74-yard return touchdown that sealed the game for the Saints and won them the Super Bowl. He also made 8 tackles and forced a fumble. If I were to give an MVP for the defensive, I think Tracy Porter deserved that MVP pretty much alone. Darren Sharper with 11 tackles. Scott Shaney with 10 tackles. Jabari Green with 8 tackles. Cedric Ellis and Will Smith. Will Smith with a forced fumble, 6 tackles. Scott Fujita, Jonathan Vilma, forced fumble by Vilma, 5 tackles. Malcolm Jenkins, 4 tackles. Randall Gay / Anthony Hargrove, 3 tackles. Dwight Freeney sacked, 3 tackles. Gary, yep, okay, I just shouldn't stop at that point. Now for the Indianapolis Colts defense. Dwight Freeney, sack and 3 tackles. Gary Brackett, 8 tackles. Jacob Lacey and Clint Sessions, 7 tackles. Kelvin Hayden, 6 tackles. Antoine Bethia and Daniel Murr, 5 tackles. Kevonte Dawson and Eric Foster, 3 tackles. For the kicking and special teams, Garrett Hartley, 2 for 2 on PATs and 3 for 3 on field goals. Matt Stover, 2 for 2 on PATs and 1 for 2 on field goals. Total yards, New Orleans, 332 to Indianapolis, 432. And the one interception that really, really turned the game. Now, I can just go through a million reasons why the Super Bowl matters. I could just talk about the incredible Sean Payton onside kick that kind of fooled the Indianapolis Colts in that game. I could talk about the fact that Drew Brees, who was formerly a San Diego Chargers for so many years, playing decently well, but unfortunately his injury kind of hurt them. Was thought to go to the Dolphins, but it's a nah, we don't want this guy. Then he got to the Saints with Sean Payton, who, by the way, pretty much going to be a Hall of Fame coach by his work in the New Orleans Saints alone, and in the Super Bowl, of course. And yes, there's going to be the old bounty gate, of course, evolving, all of that. But those are not the reasons why the Super Bowl is important. You want to know why the Super Bowl is important? This is why the Super Bowl is important. This took place on August 29th, 2005. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Hurricane Katrina. And why this is sometimes personal to me, because last year, on the 20th anniversary of this hurricane, just a couple of months ago, we had the most devastating hurricane ever. It is called Hurricane Melissa. It was a Category 5. Thank the Lord, your lucky stars, that we in this part of the country did not get affected. But some of the places, St. Catherine and all the places that are in Jamaica are get so brutally hard. And if you think Hurricane Katrina, 20 years on, it's still rattled because of this. I don't know if our country can even recover from this. It might take so many years and so much mental fixing to try to process all of this. Like the same thing that happened in New Orleans 20 years ago. It's literally the same thing that happened to us right now. A devastated hurricane that really rocked the nation, that really hurt so many souls, and cost so much dollars. $125 billion. And yeah, so much lives being devastated. So, so much lives being devastated. And it is one of the most horrific situations to ever come in any state, in any country ever. And the images, of course, of houses being flooded, of course, people standing on the roofs and all kinds of stuff. And listen, you don't have to watch the news or learn about it. Just go watch a documentary about it. Just go watch the hundreds of documentaries. Go read a newspaper and just tell me your heart cannot weep for them. It is the most horrific thing to happen. And I know what you're thinking, Akeem. Why does this hurricane involve the New Orleans Saints? Because of course, New Orleans Saints involved in this situation. This was taking place in August of 2005. Unfortunately, the Saints under the Superdome, the Louisiana Superdome at the time, or now called the Caesar Superdome, they used it as shelter. The entire stadium was used as a shelter, of course. And with the devastation, of course, and the buildings and all kinds of stuff, it was pretty much unsafe to play at that time. It was literally unsafe to play. They have to go through so much. They got to go to different stadiums. They got to use a two-lane stadium. They got to donate a lot of money and all kinds of stuff. And for all the NFL players to come in and to pull it off, of course. And this was around the same time as where Drew Brees and Sean Payton joined in. Like, they came here at the literal worst time you could imagine for a franchise that haven't done much. I mean, this franchise have bad losing streak. Archie Griffin. The whole Mike Williams training, which you send all your draft picks to get one player, like Herschel Walker as, and even he and Mike Ditka did not even work out. Like I saw, Mike Ricky Williams saw him in a wedding dress with Mike Ditka, and I tell you one thing, it did not work out. It did not work out at all in all the grand scheme of things. So this Saints team was a laughingstock pre Drew Brees and Sean Payton, of course. And then you add in this monstrosity to this and the horrific situation that comes with it. It just feels like this city cannot even catch a break. And it's almost had that same feeling of what happened last year with the horrific shooting of the the French corner, of course, the Mardi Gras corner. Last year, New Year's Eve, of course, at that time. It's now like 1 year since that happened, and it has that same feeling of Hurricane Katrina. You just cannot believe this is happening. And although this is a little bit different than a natural disaster, the same thing that's happening in this state, it's horrific and it's horrible. And my heart goes out to all the people in New Orleans who's not only suffering from what happened last year, but from 20 years ago. I bleed for you. I literally bleed for you. But of course, you all know when there's tragedy, there's always going to be triumph at the end. And God, there is some great triumph in the end. Because after this hurricane, after this hurricane, 2006, the New Orleans Saints, and yes, I will show you a picture. 2006, the New Orleans Saints face off against the Atlanta Falcons, and it was a rivalry game. Of course, it was a rivalry game, a big rivalry game, lots of stake, but there was so much more than just a game. This is just a city that comes together with all the fans. Monday Night Football came in. It's probably one of the most important Monday Night Football games ever. That is doesn't involve the record, doesn't involve who wins and anybody else. It's coming like a city coming together under one roof, and then something magical happens. Everybody knows about this block kick. Um, yeah, I'm not going to show you the video because it might get copyrighted, of course, but every single person knows this block kick. This is Steve Gleason, who, by the way, is kind of diagnosed with some kind of disease. I'm not going to go through all of that, of course, because I'm not going to run that long. But everybody knows about the block kick. Gleason marched through that thing, blocked the kick, scored a touchdown, and everybody in New Orleans erupted. And everybody in America cheered for them. That night, and by the way, the Saints just beat the hell out of the Falcons. It was like the aftermath. But that night, that moment, it just feels like everybody in America was rooting for the Saints. Every single person in America, whether you're a Patriots fan, a Dolphins fan, a Steelers fan, and who cares about it? This is not about your fandom. This is about pulling for a city that's gone through so much and so few cheered, and it was so incredible. And the stadium was rocking. The whole Superdome was rocking. It was such an incredible moment. And it's such an incredible moment. And for this to happen 4 years later, this is 5 years after the most devastating thing to ever happen to New Orleans Saints, they deliver a Super Bowl. It may be the only Super Bowl they have right now. But I don't care where the Saints will be like for the next 20 years. They'll stink up for the next 20 years, of course. I don't care about that. What this city has gone through, what this entire team has gone through, and for them to actually deliver a Super Bowl championship for this franchise, for Drew Brees, for Sean Payton, for Tracy Porter, for Reggie Bush. Yes, Reggie Bush actually is a Super Bowl champion. I know, right? Crazy. For all these players to come together 5 years of the most devastating thing happened, and for them to win the Super Bowl, that blessed my heart. I mean, it would have been great if Jamaica would have qualified for the World Cup by themselves after all of that, but no, we just have to take the scenic route, I guess. That's not about me, of course. Anyways, thank you all for watching. It was a long, long one, but a most important one, of course, at a time like this. So we are still living in the midst after the hurricane with all the devastation, of course, and I want you to know that you are not alone. You are not alone in this thing. Please talk to someone. Please help them out any way you can. Money, food, doesn't matter. Just help them you can. And make sure that the Lord bless you and keep you through all the times. Just as the Saints march in to Florida and actually win the Super Bowl, you can march in with your head held high and your Holy Spirit be guiding you. Thank you all for watching. Super Bowl 45 will be tomorrow. Catch you on